back to the 80s. Welcome to Mr. Teach Film Preach. Comment down below, what did you think of this film, Totally Killer? Were you a fan of this time-traveling comedic horror film? What is your favorite horror slasher film? While you're down there, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Today we're talking about the 2023 Amazon Prime horror slasher comedy film, Totally Killer. When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns to Vernon after the 35 years first murder spree, a 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back in time to 1987, determined to stop the killer before he can start his killing spree. First of all, I had no idea this was even a movie, and yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I have to say, I was pretty surprised. I didn't know really kind of going into it what it was going to be like. It looked sort of like a schlocky, crappy teen horror comedy. And it is, at times, it is that. But it actually is more than that, too. It feels very much reminiscent of, for sure, Scream. Like, they even reference Scream in the movie. But this is definitely inspired by the movie Scream and the Scream franchise. Back to the Future feel to this movie. There's a little bit of Heathers in this film, like the tone and the style and some of the characters definitely feels very Heathery. Mean Girls, and it kind of is wrapped up in this time-traveling slasher film that actually works. On paper, this movie doesn't look like it works just from the way I've described it, but it does. And it is what it is. And that's the first thing. You have to go into this movie just being like, yep, throw all caution to the wind. I'm here just to sit back, relax, watch a stupid horror comedy film. And if you can go into this movie with that mindset, you'll love it. What I loved about this movie were all the comments and the humor around the 1980s and like whenever they travel back in time and she would go into the school and try and get enrolled in classes, like how easy it was, and she didn't need like any proof or any ID.
Have you seen the movie Back to the Future? Basically, I'm living that movie right now, which is how I know there's gonna be a murder tonight.
And anytime you see the 1980s in a movie, it's always stereotyped by these things that this movie comments on. I just thought the commentary and the meta humor was funny. Very similar to the meta commentary humor in Scream. There were some pretty good scary parts. It is a slasher horror film, so there were some pop-out moments, some like moments that actually made me jump, and I thought were executed fairly well. The gore was good. The killings were pretty visceral at times. I really enjoyed the character of Jamie, our main lead. I thought the supporting cast was hilarious and awesome as well. Kiernan Shipka, but I also really loved Olivia Holt. And of course, Julie Bowen, I thought was awesome in this film as well. She's got a really great scene at the beginning of the movie where she has to like kick some ass and has like a great fight scene. I thought she was awesome in it. The tone and the feel and the soundtrack to this movie, all very 80s. And I love the style and design of this movie. I thought it was awesome. This is filmed in Vancouver. You can tell it's a Canadian production.
How to be a Canadian. Follow these steps and you too can be like us, eh?
Even the town Vernon that they use, like Vernon, British Columbia is a town in the Okanagan, and so the fact that they use Vernon in this movie, I was like, oh! Hercules, Hercules, Hercules! It's a really funny, quirky, scary at parts high school movie, and I think it's pretty stupid, and don't get me wrong, time travel movies don't always work. Horror is very much easily susceptible to, you know, merging with comedy and merging with sci-fi and merging with time travel movies and stuff like that. So actually, I thought it worked fairly well. Like, I enjoyed the movie that came out a couple years ago, Freaky. I really enjoyed that movie with Vince Vaughn and Catherine Newton when they swap bodies, like Freaky Friday, but it's a horror movie with a serial killer. Happy Death Day, like those films very much have influenced this movie as well. And I like that tone. I like this kind of horror. I like ridiculous, stupid slashers. This is my kind of genre. A couple of negatives about the movie. The dialogue is not very good. In fact, the dialogue is cringy at times. Like, I don't think it's trying to be the best, but then there are moments where I'm like, yeah, you got some good stuff here. And then they would ruin it with like, oh, just these terrible lines. I wanted to like have a little bit more stakes than I ultimately didn't really feel in this movie. And a part of that also too is the whodunit. Like the horror films of like Scream. I love Scream, and I love that they're always whodunits and trying to figure it out. I kind of was able to piece together at about 1/3 of the way through the movie who the killer or whoever is doing these things. I was able to figure it out. So when the reveal happened, it was kind of just more like, yep, all right, cool. So the writing and I guess like the planting of the clues and stuff like that weren't executed the greatest. There's just a moment where you're like, oh, okay, clearly it's this. I think if you're looking for it, you're gonna find it. But if you're in the mood for this ridiculous, scary, slasher, horror comedy film, and just want to have something on, I think you're just gonna have a good time. Like, this is a movie that's just trying to have lots of fun, and it's not trying to say too much about the horror genre, but just playing off of it with a nice riff, kind of a funny sort of twist take with the sci-fi time traveling device, time travel original take with a horror slasher genre. I thought it was a lot of fun. Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Comment down below, what did you think of this horror slasher comedy film? Let me know with your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you so much for doing that. I personally had a lot of fun with this film, so I'm kind of on the positive end. I can see why some people might not like it or just think it's sort of a stupid run-of-the-mill, but I didn't feel like that ultimately for this movie. So overall, I'm gonna go ahead and give Totally Killer a solid B. Thank you so much for joining Mr. Teach Film Preach. Come back and check out some other reviews like Saw 10, A Haunting in Venice, and No One Will Save You. Have a great day, everyone. Stay focused, stay awesome, and as always, let's get Todd.